Good day, teaching experience for lecturers and supervisors. This video is just a quick one to make sure that everyone is on track for online micro-teaching. This slide just summarizes the online micro-teaching process for students for 2022. Students will start by choosing any lesson that they still need to teach when they go back into school in Teaching Experience Block 2. They will start on this lesson design and lesson rationale. Please note that there are specific lesson rationale questions that are included in the online micro-teaching log over and above the lesson rationale that they will be completing as part of their lesson plan template. Please refer students to these prior to your session. During the online micro-teaching session, the students will have 10 minutes to present their lesson rationale and to give context to the lesson that they're going to be teaching. They will then have 15 minutes to teach a slice of this lesson. As supervisors, we'll need to be strict on the timing to ensure that everybody has the right amount of time and equal time to present their lesson and lesson rationale. Please also ensure that as supervisors and peers, you set the stage for student teachers to teach as if they are teaching a class of learners in the grade that they are teaching. So as peers and as the supervisor, you're going to take on the role of the learners in that class to give a more real experience for your student teacher. So encourage all your students in the group to participate and engage with each other during the lessons. Directly after each session, you can have 5 minutes for giving feedback to each of your students from the peers and from yourself as the supervisor. Student teachers are then expected to go after the lesson to critically reflect on the successes and challenges of this online micro-teaching experience and create a blog post, which forms part of their reflections for Teaching Experience 4. Finally, the expectation is that students, based on their feedback and their reflection, will adapt and improve and then reteach that lesson in the actual classroom setting during Teaching Experience Block 2. If we look at the bigger picture, online micro-teaching forms 10% of the final portfolio of evidence for the Teaching Experience 4 modules. And the marks are allocated as indicated here on this slide. A total of 60 marks is awarded, with 15 marks towards the rationale that is marked during the online live session as presented by the students for those 10 minutes, 30 marks for that 15-minute online micro-teaching, and then a 15-minute mark that will be awarded at the final portfolio of evidence when we mark the students' reflections. So as students and for supervisors and lecturers, where do you start? You need to refer to your online micro-teaching log. And then as a lecturer and supervisor, make sure that you've got your institutional assessment log, which contains the rubrics you will need to mark this online micro-teaching. So you will need to have a copy of a rubric for each of the students and student teachers that you'll be marking in your session. What do the students have to do? I've already explained. They will be choosing one of their lessons for Teaching Experience Block 2, and they are expected to upload it prior to the micro-teaching session. These are the lesson rationale questions that are included in the online micro-teaching log, which the students must make reference to during their lesson rationale presentation. As a supervisor, you will award a mark out of 15 for this lesson rationale based on this rubric that is included in the institutional assessment log. The instructions for the online micro-teach are included under task 1.2 in the online micro-teaching log. As a supervisor, you will award a mark out of 30 for the online micro-teaching based on the lesson design and delivery. The instructions for the reflection and the guided questions for this reflection are also included in the online micro-teaching log. and students are expected to create their blog post for online microteaching after the online microteaching session and before the submission of their final POE. Supervisors and markers will then mark this reflection blog post using the microteaching blog rubric also included in the institutional assessment log. So what your students need to know, they need to know the date and time that they will be participating in their online microteaching. This should already be communicated by the campuses. They need to either have a link or be instructed to join the course room of their module for TE4 at a specific time. Each member of the group will have, or each peer will have a 25 to 30 minute time slot during that peer session. 10 minutes for the rationale, 15 minutes for the slides of their lesson, and encourage your students to make sure that they work carefully through TE409 as well as Learning Unit 4 on Learn. There are a number of resources and activities in Learning Unit 4 on Learn to support the students in this online micro-teaching. There's resources about fostering community, managing the classroom, different ideas of what digital tools can be used during online micro-teaching and during lessons that integrate ICT technology, how to create group activities and breakout groups, how to establish your classroom management during an online lesson, how to create your own online classroom and digital platforms. So there really are a lot of resources to support the students, and hopefully these students are going to wow us with what they're able to do in their online teaching. So just wishing all the supervisors good luck for the online micro teaching, and I hope that it goes well for both you and your students.